Eternaland is a much greater resource than most of the community is giving it credit for, and today I am going to give you all of the information you need to know about how to get to Eternaland, how to use Eternaland, and how to prepare for future seasons and get the most out of Eternaland in between seasons. So step number one, the first thing we need to know how to do is how to get into Eternaland. Now there are three really simple ways to do that. Number one is get to level 20 on any character. Once you hit level 20, your personal Eternaland instance will open up to you. You'll be given some quests and some information by V the first time you enter Eternaland on a character. Make sure you go through those quests. They're going to provide you with some Eternaland specific resources and help you get to know sort of the lay of the land and how things work. Way number two that you can join Eternaland is if you hit escape right here and you go up to the Eternaland option in the top right. Down here you have enter island code to visit. Now you have to have at least one character in level 20 in a specific region like NA or Southeast Asia. And if you have a character in at least level 20, then you can use an island code provided by any person in your region and go ahead and teleport straight to that island. Now these island codes are located in your Eternaland F7 menu, and you'll see right down here island access code. You can just copy that code right there and paste it anywhere you'd like to. Share that island code with people and it'll allow them access to your island. Also, you can use other people's codes to access other islands. And the last way to access an Eternaland island is to be somebody's friend. Now this actually circumvents the requirement to reach level 20 before you come to Eternaland. So you friend anybody in your region, you can have cross-server friends, and you can access cross-server Eternalands through this friend system. So you see here all of my friends on my server as well as other servers. I have access to all of their Eternalands right now. They've all got them set to no approval required. I don't even think any of these people have actually built anything. But that's the third and final way that you can get access to an Eternaland. So super simple, lets you bypass that level 20 requirement in a really easy way to access Eternalands of other regions if you want to just make a character and take it through the tutorial real quick. You can friend somebody up and go straight into their Eternaland. Now the next thing I'd like to talk to you a little bit about is I'd like to talk to you about building an Eternaland. Now Eternaland is a really free-form building experience where you have the ability to craft up to 9,000 structures. Actually, it's over 9,000 structures in Eternaland. And it's really simple. It's just like any other building in the game. You just go to your build menu, you take a look here at all the different things you can build, and you start plunking things down. Now, one of the greatest differences about Eternaland building is there is no structural support required. So I can delete that, and bammo, I've just got a floating ceiling here, which means that you can make some really interesting stuff in Eternaland. Now, the other thing that's different about Eternaland building is the memetics that you use to unlock different building structures and facilities and things like that in the seasonal play become permanently unlocked in Eternaland, even if you don't keep that memetic unlocked. So I have access to all of the facilities, I have access to all of the structures, I have access to any furniture that you can get through unlocking memetics. Everything that you can access through unlocking memetics I have, because I went through and just briefly unlocked every memetic and then spec'd out of those things so that I'd have access to all of my different building options here in Eternaland. Now when you build stuff in Eternaland, you'll notice it does not require the normal resources. It actually requires this astral sand down here. When you make something, it takes that astral sand away, and when you destroy it, you get the exact same amount of astral sand back. So you have this sort of infinite building loop where you can just create and destroy without any worry about losing resources. Now a little bit later we're going to talk about how to get that astral sand, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about how to craft in Eternaland. Because you can craft pretty much anything that you can craft in seasonal play right here in Eternaland, and it follows the same kind of rules that building followed, in that anything you unlock in your memetics in your season play becomes permanently unlocked here in Eternaland. So I've got access to all the ammunition But even more importantly, the deviations that I've caught in season play and placed inside of my securement units that give me special crafting recipes have also become unlocked in my Eternaland. Now that's really, really important because these things are really, really valuable and really, really fun. And later I'm going to teach you how to activate PvP inside your Eternaland, so you're going to want to have access to a lot of this so that you can kill your friends in new and exciting ways. These things are also all crafted with Astral Sand. They are only going to be able to be used here in Eternaland because of that Astral Sand craft. But there's a lot you can do in Eternaland with all of these resources, so having things here in Eternaland is not a big bummer for you. Also, you're going to be able to craft any weapons that you have blueprints for. Again, this is done with Astral Sand. The only difference is you can't calibrate these weapons, so they're going to be stuck at calibration level 0. Now that is a little bit unfortunate, but a little bit later I'm going to tell you about how I think you can get crafted equipment into Eternaland that never loses durability. And that's the important thing here, is anything in your Eternaland inventory, whether it be gear or food or anything, never spoils, never loses durability, so you can use them forever here. If you die 1,000 times with Eternaland crafted gear on, you never have to repair it. And that also goes for food, right? You craft food in Eternaland using, again, Astral Sand. So go out there and get all of your recipes. You want to get all of these recipes because you want to be able to kill your friends with the shattered breads and the safety sandwiches and all of that stuff. So you want to have access to those things. So make sure you get that. And then these are never going to spoil. So if I crafted 1,000 of these right now, they would never spoil on me. I'd be able to use them for weeks and weeks and weeks into the future. And one final super important thing, I actually don't have the structure built here, so let's build it real quick. We're going to get ourselves a synthesis bench. There we are, advanced synthesis bench. Let's take a look at some of the things we can create with the advanced synthesis bench. We have really fun things like these projection generators and these improved scout drones and improved portable turrets. These turrets are actually immortal too. So these turrets have a durability, not a quantity. So when you throw this turret out in seasonal play, it loses durability and eventually becomes destroyed. But because it's not a quantity, here in Eternaland, it is permanent. I don't have power, so I can't craft that. Okay. But here in Eternaland, it is permanent, and it will last forever. So you can keep throwing it out. You can have up to 3 of them out at a time, and you only ever need to make 1 of these with your Astral Sand. The same thing is true of the improved scout drone, but you could only have 1. Now, the thermite grenade and the vortex generator are both quantities, not durabilities, so they actually only have 1 use. But anything like the stardust barriers, these 2 items right here, the projection generators, these are all durability items, and so they last forever here in Eternaland, and that's really, really important. So now we've talked a little bit about some PvP stuff you can do in Eternaland, and so now I want to tell you about how to activate PvP here in Eternaland. It's actually really simple. You're going to go to your F7 menu, and this is where you manage your Eternaland at. Yeah, this is where you manage your Eternaland at. Now, when you're managing your Eternaland, you're going to have different visitor rules, right? You can open it to all. You can have friends only, review required. You can have friends only, no review required. And you can have private so that nobody can enter your island. This allows you to set different stages of availability for if you're maybe, hosting a tournament or something like that. You want to lock everybody out for a little while you set things up, you can, and then you just open it right back up, or you open it only to friends, or you open it only to friends review required, so that you can pick and choose who's having access and control what's going on. Now you also have access to the weather and the time of day. You can change it to specific times, or you can just let that real time roll. And the same thing is true of the time of day. You can pick a time of day if you want to have just a nighttime tournament or something like that so people can be a little more stealthy, or you can keep it going in real time. Now combat, you have the options for no PvP or launch PvP. You also have the ability to allow any weapon, melee weapons only or no weapons. I don't know what you would do with PvP and no weapons, maybe throw grenades at each other. I don't know exactly how that works. I haven't done a ton of testing, but you've got a lot of different options there. And then you can set up vehicle permissions. If you just want to have foot PvP, you can turn off the vehicles. And then HP, you want to have real time. If you have HP off and you have PvP on, then you can shoot each other and damage numbers come up, but nobody ever dies. And then you can even activate or deactivate the different survival systems in the game, like energy, hydration, and sanity. I like to keep these off. I don't think they're terribly necessary for some low-key PvP, but they are an option for you if you want. Now, the next thing we want to talk about here is we want to talk about how to get the resources that you use here in Eternaland for your crafting and your building, like Astral Sand and Astral Light. Now, Astral Light is how you buy these trees and rocks and these teleport points that you can see right here. This is a teleport point and also a respawn point. So this is how you buy these. So when you want to get Astrolite or Astral Sand, you just go open up your F8 menu. That F8 menu brings you to the shop. Now the island shop allows you to buy lots of different things for Astral Sand here. Portable mixed fuel. These things are all going to be pretty permanently stuck in your Eternaland. But you can buy yourself some fuel, different fertilizers so you can grow crops. You got all the different seeds available to you here so you can have a nice big crop. And then you also have all of your different rocks and trees and different stuff like that that use this totally different Astrolite resource, which is right up here. Now, you can get Astral Sand, which is this resource I have almost 2 million of here, by selling pretty much anything you get out of Season Play. All of your different resources. If you have deviated vegetables, they sell for like 10,000 Astral Sand. Your tungsten alloy pickaxe, you probably have one. You might as well sell that for some Astral Sand. But there's tons of different things in here you can build up and sell for Astral Sand, so that's really, really convenient. The only way to get this Astral Light is to complete these orders. And you'll see up here you have a weekly 6 of 6 orders here. Now what this 6 of 6 means is if you look down here, you get double Astrolite 6 times for turning in these orders. Now you can do as many of these orders as you want, but you're only going to get double Astrolite 6 times. You can also get new orders as many times as you want. I do a lot of fishing here, so I have tons of fish, so I don't do any of these things that require vegetables or foods. I do all the ones that require fish, so I'm just going to reset all those, wait for it to give me one more that requires fish, and stack up my Astrolite. So that's how you get the resources to use here in Eternaland. And the last thing you've got here is export resources. Now exporting resources is going to use these material or logistics points that you're only going to get at the start of the new season. Now I don't know if these are going to carry over to the next season after the next season, right? So I don't know if Season 2's points are going to carry over to Season 3, but you're apparently going to get 20,000, or you can have a max of 20,000 of these points at the start of any given season. And you're going to use those to transfer gear, to transfer deviations, to transfer equipment, to transfer food, to transfer all of that stuff from Eternaland to your next season. And that's going to be really, really important because I'm now going to teach you how to optimize your seasonal reset for Eternaland and your next season. And we're going to do it by using the Eternaland inventory. Things in the Eternaland inventory do not spoil. So when you come from your season into Eternaland, you're going to have an opportunity to move lots of different stuff, because everything that you have in your inventory in your seasonal play is moving to Eternaland. This Eternaland backpack is infinite. Check this out. I have fish for days on here, and my backpack has never filled up. This notification saying that I've had my storage capacity is about to reach its limit has been there for a long time. And I've never actually hit a storage limit. It just keeps adding new rows. So you have like an infinite backpack in Eternaland. So everything that you have is going to transfer over, and it's going to become immortal. Now, the one thing that's going to be different here is you see that these were actually found here in Eternaland. And they've got these little astral sand markers. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to transfer things that I've actually picked up or crafted here in Eternaland to the next season, but I am going to be able to transfer things that come from the old season into the next season. And the way we're going to be able to do that is by using those material or logistic points. So to optimize your Eternaland transfer experience to the new season, when you're starting to get close to your season reset, I want you to craft any items that you think you might want max calibrated. Get good calibration blueprints for them, calibrate them up, and then bring them over into Eternaland. Now, the reason I want you to do that is even if you don't take those items into the next season with you, you will now have fully calibrated gear items here in Eternaland that will be in that Eternal backpack and never lose durability. So instead of having to rely on gear that can't be calibrated and that has to stay at calibration level 0 and that can't have its calibration bonuses changed, will be able to have its calibration bonuses changed because you've done that from seasonal play. So get all of that stuff done before the season ends, because you're not going to be able to calibrate it once you're here. You have to bring it in calibrated, and then it's going to be, now this is unconfirmed that it's going to be immortal, but everything in your Eternaland backpack is immortal. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that you're going to have infinite durability on those equipments while they're in your Eternaland backpack. Now, if you then transfer them to the next season, you are going to lose that immortality. They're going to go back to having durability until the end of that season when you bring them back to Eternaland. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is on the same line, because things in the Eternaland backpack are immortal and don't spoil. I want you look at these buildings here, right? They don't have specialization bonuses. You can't carry over the specialization bonuses from your memetics into here. So when you have kitchens, they don't get that bonus 30% that you can get to the food effect. But you can get that in your season play. So within 24 hours of Season 6 happening, I want you to craft a ton of food. All of your best foods, your shattered breads, your safety sandwiches, your energy drinks, all of the stuff that might be able to spoil, that you want to be able to have here in Eternaland for Eternaland PvP. But also because you are going to be able to transfer those things into the next season. But you're going to be able to do that with big bonuses that come from those specializations in the end game of the previous season. So make all of those foods that you want, bring them to Eternaland. They're never going to spoil. As far as I understand it, you're not going to be required to use all of these logistics or material points at the beginning of the next season, because you see here, we can have logistics points in here, and if we had logistics points, even right now, we'd just be able to transfer things out of the Eternaland backpack. And you see here that in the Eternaland backpack, we can't transfer out anything that we've gotten here in Eternaland or anything that we've crafted here in Eternaland. But for some reason, actually I know why, when you're reloading in Eternaland with weapons from outside of Eternaland, your ammunition actually goes into your Eternaland backpack. And so when you leave Eternaland, the ammunition that was in your gun goes back to your Eternaland backpack, so you kind of lose some ammunition in there. So you got to be a little careful of that. But you're going to be able to transfer things out of the Eternaland backpack into your seasonal backpack all throughout Season 2. So you're going to be able to basically have infinite spoil timers on your really, really high-tier crafted equipment, or not crafted equipment, on your really, really high-tier crafted foods, and you just come in here and use some material points whenever you need some, pull out your good foods, and you no longer even need to worry about growing a farm in a season. So prepare for all of that stuff, and you're going to be able to start ignoring farming and stuff like that for multiple seasons down the road, and not having to worry. So that's going to be really, really important, and I'm going to be looking forward to doing a whole lot of that. Now, One more thing that is going to be really important for your season end and preparing using Eternaland is go buy a bunch of gold or silver ingots, or the chip sets or the crystal sets or whatever that you can sell to the traders for energy links, and then bring them here to your Eternaland. Because next season you'll be able to use some of these resource points, right, to bring those gold ingots into the next season. And again, we're limiting the number of specializations we need to have access to during the next season by prioritizing small quantity things that make a big impact during our season. So bringing over, 200 gold ingots into your Eternaland means that when the next season starts, every week when the phase resets and you can go and resell for energy links to those in-game vendors, you can just pull a couple of them out of your Eternaland backpack, go make those sales happen, get all your energy links, never need the gold ingot specialization ever again. And then if you have extra energy links at the end of next season, you just do that again, buy a ton of gold and silver, so that you can keep repeating that process as you go without ever needing that specialization ever again and getting the maximum out of your energy links. And one last thing that I think you should probably do, and this is extremely, extremely speculative, but there are items that have 14-day durabilities or 11-day durabilities in the game. And I don't have any of them right now because all of mine have lapsed, I think. But they're things like your solar drill that go in your inventory and do things for you, like make fertilizers, like gather more resources, right? You've got your chef's knife, you've got your harvest sickle, you've got all these different things that have multiple days worth of durability. Now again, I believe these things are going to move over to your Eternaland, in your Eternaland inventory, right? Because they don't have any sort of, there's a lock that can be on here, or an infinity sign that can be on here that says this is locked to your character. I don't think those items are going to be moving over. For example, these damaged data disks and these controllers are obviously not going to be coming. So if you've got this chain on here, then they don't move. But these items don't have those chains. So right before Phase 6 happens, or during Phase 6 if you can, you're going to want to make a bunch of those items, like chef's knives and stuff like that, again, so you don't have to take those specializations in future seasons, and you'll still have access to them through those material points. We're just trying to limit the number of specializations that you and your hive and your warband need to be successful in the future. Now this needs to be tested, and I'm going to be testing it live on stream when my Phase 6 happens. I'm in server PvP01 TAC 00001, so my server is going to be one of the first servers in the NA region that goes into Phase 6, and I'm going to be live streaming as that ticks over. And we're going to be making a bunch of foods, and we're going to be doing a bunch of prep work for a couple hours before, just to see what we can get to transfer over, how that transfer happens, and what we can do with our Eternaland. But some things that you can start doing right now is start crafting those max calibrated gears and start buying those sellable items like gold and silver ingots, because people don't know about this. You're going to be able to get them for cheap now. You're not going to get to keep your energy links, so you might as well be buying those gold and silver ingots and saving them for your future seasons. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching this today. This has been my everything guide to Eternaland. If you enjoyed or got any use out of this, hit that like and subscribe button, because Eternaland is such a good resource, such a good content resource, right? You can build anything you want to PvP on. You can build anything you want to ride around on. I've got a theme park. I've got a PvP island. I'm just doing all kinds of stuff. So those island links are actually going to be in the description below. They're NA region islands, so if you're in NA, go ahead and join them up. And I'm also going to be putting my Discord server for my tournaments that I'm going to be running weekly in my PvP Eternaland down in the description as well. So go ahead and hop in that Discord, sign up for some of those tournaments. Let's have ourselves a good time. Like and subscribe. Thank you all very much for coming out, and have a great day.